everyone, and welcome to the Culture Cast. I'm Brother Chris, and I'm joined by Brother Eric.
Hi, I'm Brother Eric.
And we're also joined by the host of the Projection Booth podcast, Brother Mike White.
I am here.
And we are kicking off Jackie Chan month with a look at Dragons Forever, the final film to star the three brothers. If you're wondering why I was calling us the brothers, it's because this is the final film to star the, quote, three brothers, Sammo Hung, Yuen Biao, and Jackie Chan.
Their skills are legendary. Their methods without equal. Their unity beyond question.
Bye-bye!
Now, the best of friends will take on the worst of enemies. In a knockout smash hit, where action speaks louder than words. This summer, Hong Kong Legends invites you to join three of the greatest action legends of all time for an adventure that's in a league of its own. Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung, and Yuen Biao. Dragons Forever.
Before we talk about the movie a little bit, Mike, I am curious, since this was the last film to star the three of them, why, because you helped us program this month, you've helped us program several months this month, or this year, why did you pick this over, say, something like Wheels on Meals or some of the earlier films that the three of them did together?
You know, I probably made a mistake by going with this one because they're playing against type a little bit in this movie, and I think that it actually affected the box office bottom line when it came out. But for me, it was all about that last fight, and that alone is worth the price of admission. Just the entire third act battle that goes on is one of the things that I remember so well to this day that I was just like, we really need to talk about that.
So I'm curious, Mike, that now is stating, what did you think revisiting this film and kind of watching it again?
It's a little bit of a mess. As I was watching it again, I was doing some research, and I had forgotten that it is kind of a mess. There's some interesting things going on here. Sammo playing this Lothario, trying to get in with this mother, and then Jackie dating the daughter, and then Yuen Biao being a lunatic. And apparently there's a lot more stuff with Yuen Biao where he's got a psychiatrist who's I don't know if he's giving him bad information. I haven't seen these deleted scenes, but Stanley Fung apparently is the psychiatrist and somehow tells him to go in and somehow to attack Jackie wearing that cat mask, which without that scene makes absolutely no sense. Even with that scene, I'm not sure how much sense it would make. So it's a little bit rough around the edges.
So Eric, I know that was something you had spoken with me off podcast about. What do you think about this movie? Because it's not only is it kind of a storyline mess, but the subtitles in the version that the three of us watched were not great in helping really kind of suss out what was going on in the film.
I'll be honest. I watched this movie and I had no idea what the fuck was going on in this movie. Story-wise, I lost it maybe 20 minutes into the movie, if it took that long for me to lose track of what was going on. And then for the rest of the time, I was just like, okay, when is the next fight going to happen? And luckily, it happens frequently enough in the movie, and they go on for long enough that I was like, all right, this is tight. But yeah, I mean, between like the weird choppiness of the movie, which Mike explaining that a bunch of scenes were cut out makes more sense now because I thought it was just me being distracted by my phone while I was watching the movie. And also just like weird subtitles that were kind of hard to follow. It looked like somebody tried to use Google Translate for the subtitles and they came out totally weird and they just like left it and didn't like check and see what it was. But I don't know. All the fight sequences are awesome, beautifully choreographed, and it's very funny, like all the physical comedy and stuff. That's like, that sort of thing that we've kind of grown to expect and love from Jackie Chan movies is sort of like that physical, comedic, like crazy amount of choreography in the fight sequences and stuff. And it was cool to watch that from like you could tell this is like early days of that.
It's funny. I had no problem with the subtitles because these were actually easier to follow than a lot of Hong Kong film subtitles, where they would actually burn into the screen and you would get the Chinese characters above and then the English below that. And the English would be like written off of an old version of the script that was poorly translated, so sometimes the subtitles wouldn't match up to anything on screen, and then it would just be like weird, like they couldn't necessarily use contractions and stuff, so everything was written in this absolutely bizarro voice. The subtitles for me, not to say that I'm better than you guys are, but I was just like, oh yeah, no issues there. So I'm like, oh, I feel kind of bad.
Yeah, you just have more practice, I guess.
I guess.
Yeah, that's got to be it, Mike, because let's not even forget the IMDb synopsis for the film, the one that if you go to the page right now, the IMDb synopsis for this film doesn't even make sense. The IMDb synopsis for the film is 3 successful Hong Kong lawyers are hired by a chemical company of questionable ethics and must eventually make a difficult decision when their employer's motives become clear. That doesn't sound like what this movie even is to begin with. On top of the fact that only one of them is a lawyer, the other two are like essentially full-time criminals.
Right. Yeah, Sammo playing an arms dealer, I guess, and then Yuen playing a inventor. He's got that weird stuff going on in his, like, he's an inventor. We get a little bit of that, and he's a criminal. So it's like, okay, and then he seems paranoid and just nuts at the same time.
Yeah, this movie, like you guys have said, the fight scenes are great, but there is an inherent issue when it is hard to follow the film because the film has been chopped up and run through the grinder of people trying to make it so that it's, quote, easier understood for American audiences, or whatever reason they gave to chop this film up into a million pieces and try to put it back together. But, I mean, even the introduction scene where we're introduced to Jackie Chan makes no sense. All of a sudden, he's at lunch with a woman, and she's being attacked by people, and he starts fighting them, and he's something like... So, there is a subtitle, and correct me if I'm wrong, that says, "Rape me."
Well, I must have missed that one.
Obviously, that means,
oh, man.
Are you trying to rape me? I mean, come on, you have to retranslate the translations.
Oh, yeah, because it definitely says, like, rape me. And I was like, wait, what the fuck did I just read on the fucking screen?
How did I miss the like all of a sudden Nirvana starts playing in the middle of this? Yeah. Like, did they cut that scene out but just like left the one line in?
There was a rights issue with that.
Gotcha. So yeah, that was the line. They were like, "Rape me," and then all of a sudden, like, the song starts playing or whatever. Mm-hmm. That would have made way more sense.
Yeah.
I'd been like, "Oh yeah."
He says, like, Jackie Chan says, like, "I need to give you money to keep you quiet," and she says, "Under what condition?" And then she goes, "Rape me."
Whoa! And I'm just like, really wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, I looked at it and I was like, "Wait, what?" But as soon as I saw it, I thought in the back of my mind, I was like, "Oh God, that's what we're in for." Like, really poorly translated subtitles. It reminded me of, I don't know if you guys have seen the version of Star Wars. Where they punched it through. They put it through Google Translate into Chinese,
and then back to English.
And then back to English, and then subtitled it on the film. And it is, I mean, I know that the prequels are bad, and I'm not going to sit and listen to some BuzzFeed article about how the prequels are misunderstood classics, because they're fucking not. But watching them like that are
Misunderstood
hilarious.
classics.
I mean, watching it like that is hilarious.
It makes
because
the
it is
movies
so
tolerable.
much, yeah, all sorts of like really just like weird stuff and like weird mistranslations. And while it's not that bad in this movie, there are a couple times where it's just like none of this makes sense. Like in the first 10 minutes of the movie where a character says to Jackie Chan, "Rape me." Oof. But I mean, you know what? Raping, rape jokes aside, why Yuen is great in this movie. I mean, that cigar is just.
Oh my
I
God.
love that guy. Oh, he's so good.
He has that like weird, I mean, I don't know, no spoilers, I guess. It's a kung fu movie that makes no sense. So like at the end, he has that weird like zombie fight style that all of a sudden he starts to try to do for like 5 seconds. And I was like, oh my God, what is happening? This is amazing. And then he gets his ass beat like within 5 seconds. I was like, oh, that's your zombie style didn't work, bro.
Yeah, I love that when he's like burning Jackie with the cigar and everything, and then he like hurries up and goes, starts sucking at it again.
yeah. Keep it from going out or whatever.
Yeah.
The physical comedy is really fantastic. Like they play it up so much in this movie, and they do that sort of thing where it feels like they maybe like shot it at like a lower frame rate and then like sped it up a little bit. Like if they shot it in 24 and then they like sped it up to 30 or something like that in a lot of sections, so where everything's got that like, I mean, I'm going to say this a million times when we're talking about this. It's got that sort of Three Stooges kind of feel where things are like going faster or whatever. No.
Well, I mean, the best way to describe Jackie Chan to anyone, you would have to have a little bit of kind of background with it, is Jackie Chan is essentially, imagine if Buster Keaton did Kung Fu.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's all just physical comedy, but it's like the way that it's choreographed and like
it's very Jackie Chan. I mean, there's no other way to describe it other than when you watch a Jackie Chan fight scene, you kind of have an idea of what you're going to get, and that's not a bad thing because it's always great.
Yeah, it's completely its own thing. It's so like it's absolutely nothing like a Bruce Lee fight scene or like any other, martial arts expert, who has their own like brand of kung fu movies. Like Jet Li was really big for a while and all of this stuff. Like Jackie Chan had his own, like just his movies, and then specifically like the fight sequences, like where you'd have these super long sequences of Jackie fighting like multiple people all at once in this sort of like choreographed effort or whatever. And it's unlike anything else. And I mean, you hear stories about like how he broke bones and like twisted ankles and like hurt himself on every single movie, it seems like, or whatever. Like,
or almost died.
Right. Yeah. It's like every time, like there's like, oh yeah, there was this ladder gig, like this ladder gag where he was like trying to like jump through the ladder or whatever, and he like knocked himself out because he hit his chin on it while he was like jumping or some shit like that. And you're like, what? Like this one tiny scene where they do this gag that literally lasts for like 5 seconds or whatever, and he would like hurt himself doing these things because he's like, this is what I wanted to do. And you can sort of see as the 90s progressed how like things would get more and more intricate and more layered and like more crazy as time would go on. And now people have, their stunt actors do them for, like Jackie Chan did everything himself. Like,
I would disagree with you on that, because in this film, if you watch some of the slow-mo scenes, it's clearly not Jackie Chan.
Well,
some of the scenes where it slows down, that's my one issue with this movie, is they overuse the slow-mo at the end of the movie, and it's like clearly not Benny Urquidez, and it's also clearly not Jackie Chan.
The one thing I was kind of sad about with this movie is that there's no outtakes at the end, because that's
right.
That's the best part of the Jackie Chan movies.
Yeah.
It's the stuff that you come to expect, like when you were a kid in the 90s and you're growing up watching these Jackie Chan movies and going like, this is hilarious, this is amazing, this is what I want to see. And then you have the outtakes in the credits at the end.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Holy shit, that was the best part. That's honestly when like DVDs first came out, like I would just skip to the end credit sequences, or if they had it as an extra feature or whatever, and I would just watch the 10 minutes of outtakes or whatever and just fucking laugh my ass off. And now that I'm thinking about it, after this, I'm going to go on YouTube and I'm going to watch like an hour worth of Jackie Chan outtakes and fucking laugh my ass off. It's going to be great.
Make sure to watch the Day of the Condor one, where that's the one where Jackie Chan almost died.
What?
That's it, right, Mike? Where the one where he fell, where he was doing the stunt where he was supposed to fall.
The first Armor of God. That's where he got the plug in his head. He like really mangled his skull on that one. So that's Operation Condor is the second one. But yeah, he also you were talking about his fighting style, and the thing that always gets me is like we're talking about the fight between the three brothers, and there's that moment when they start smacking each other in the nose, and then they all end up holding their nose and doing that kind of Chinese squat, and they're just like holding on, right? And like those are the moments, or like when I can't remember. There's a moment when he like does something, and when he's punching Benny, and he'll stop and like shake his hands.
And they both did it at the same time. Like they both did that. And I was like, oh yes, that's Jackie Chan stuff. That's like only stuff that he does.
Exactly. Talking about Buster Keaton. I mean, there's direct Buster Keaton gags in there, and there's direct Harold Lloyd gags in there. So it's just amazing to see how he takes what Keaton did, because Keaton was his own stuntman as well, and to see what Keaton did and Lloyd did, and then see how Jackie takes that up to the next level by adding fight choreography to it as well. It's mind-blowing.
Well, and that's the thing that, again, I think allows American audiences to really connect with Jackie Chan, is that Buster Keaton is so kind of ingrained in our culture and like the comedy style in like American comedy style, that it's easy for us to understand Jackie Chan through the lens of comedy and like physical comedy, as opposed to like maybe Bruce Lee, where it was just straight martial arts.
Right.
This has like, there's that added level of kind of interaction, because you're always kind of watching to see what he's going to do next, what props he's going to bring in. Is he going to bring a ladder or a bucket or
an axe?
Or the scene with the fan where he hits his head on the ceiling fan.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's like really it's like here's like a base structure, and how can we build on that? And that's what I love about Jackie Chan is also Jackie Chan's very emotive and expressive when he's fighting. And it's he's mugging, he's aping for the camera. However, as much as I like Jackie Chan in this movie, Sammo Hung steals it 100%. And this is the first time I've ever seen Sammo Hung in a movie.
Oh.
And as a guy who's not Jackie Chan's size, watching Sammo Hung move the way he does, and does, Jesus Christ.
That guy's got some moves. That fat man can move.
He is amazing. Yeah, go back and watch The Dead and the Deadly or Hocus Pocus with him. I mean, especially The Dead and the Deadly. He does some amazing stuff. There's this whole thing with him fighting all of these cops in there, and he's using a bench, and just to see the choreography in that is just fantastic. And yeah, that guy, he's portly as hell, but my goodness, can he make the moves.
Well, and they round each other out perfectly, because Sammo is the bigger guy, and then you have Jackie, who's kind of the physical comedy guy, and then you have Yuen, who he's like the acrobatic one, and like the really acrobatic one, and he does all like the crazy stuff where he like kips up on the bridge at the end of the movie and like flies over the guy.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
That's like very impressive acrobatic stuff. Like Jackie Chan is impressive at his acrobatics, but I wouldn't consider him like a very acrobatic martial artist, but he's better with like physical comedy. This, Yuen is like, he's all over the place, jumping through windows and doing all kinds of really acrobatic, crazy stuff.
Well, and just them on those bars in the factory and just fighting those. It's just amazing to watch that stuff.
Yeah, that factory sequence was cool at the end. I like that. Parts of that fight, especially between Jackie and who's that? Benny at the end.
Benny Urquidez.
The white guy with the mullet ponytail,
and those crazy eyes.
Yeah, I was like, "Who's this guy?" Like, all of a sudden, a random like white-ish guy appears. I was like, "You're white. You're kind of white."
That happens a lot in these movies. Yeah,
like I was like, "Oh, the final boss is like the 3/4 white guy."
Yeah, watch. What was the one? Drunken Master 2. There's a lot of white guys, a lot of cultural appropriation going on in there, where white people are colonizing, very much the story of China and Hong Kong. White people colonized it. So there's a lot of white villains in these movies. And there was a couple guys in particular that they would go back to and have in multiple versions of these. There's a guy who was in, I can't remember if it was Who Am I or what it was, but this really kind of taller guy who would show up, and he had a really badass mullet as well, and would battle with Jackie quite a bit. So to see that height difference, and he was a really good martial artist and had some great, again, the fight choreography between those two guys was fantastic.
Well, and again, I mean, I can't but heap praise on Sammo Hung because he's great, but I mean, like you guys have been saying, the fight at the end of the movie is, they do a really good job of showing how strong Benny Urquidez is by having him knock everybody else out with like one kick. And then you have Jackie at the end who's like, all right, I'm going to fight him. And they go toe to toe. And then Jackie kicks him right through a fucking like plate glass cabinet, I guess is what you would call that.
There's a lot of glass being broken in that last part of the movie.
I was like, where did this glass furniture come from? Like everything is made of glass. They're just fighting in a glass factory, I think is what it was. The factory just manufactured the glass furniture
and drugs.
That's how you got to see the drugs, so your furniture is going to be glass. Like how can you do cocaine off of every piece of furniture you own? It's all made of glass.
Well, somebody's got to make that glass table for Sly Stallone.
One of my favorite scenes in the movie is Benny Urquidez with a straw in his mouth, looking at he's looking at Sammo Hung, and then he like inhales the stuff from the end of the straw. And it's just like, what the fuck is going on? Benny Urquidez, I'm going to be nice about this. He's a weird looking guy.
Very weird looking, yes.
He's got a look for sure.
He reminds me of the guy from what is it, Maniac Cop?
Oh, okay. I'm going to get...
He just passed away a couple years ago.
Yeah, he's got that amazing job. Robert...
the guy who played the Maniac Cop, not Bruce Campbell.
Right.
Robert Zadar.
Right, thank you.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Yeah, he does kind of look like him. Holy shit, you're right.
But like, it's like that same like where his like face is a little too kind of his face is a little like squished down, so his cheeks are up, his cheeks are really high, so his eyes aren't as like open as maybe like you would expect them to be. And so he like, that's the thing, he kind of looks Asian.
He does, yeah.
Like he kind of looks Asian as opposed to like some of the other Hong Kong kung fu films I've seen where it's like, it's clearly just like fucking Chuck Norris.
You can tell like he clearly doesn't speak a word of Chinese like in this movie at all.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. Jackie Chan's voice is also completely dubbed over as well. It's not just Benny Urquidez who clearly doesn't speak Chinese. Jackie Chan's voice is not the voice that's being used for Jackie Chan in this movie. Clearly not Jackie Chan.
It sounded like Jackie to me, huh?
Really? It sounded too high to be Jackie Chan's voice, but that's to me. I mean, that's just me.
Yeah, I don't know. I think just the fact that it was like dubbed and like sort of dubbed poorly, just I couldn't tell if anybody's voice was their actual voice, and if it was, like, it definitely was too weird for me to even care.
I was just glad that he was speaking Cantonese, because now I've become a snob, and when Jackie is speaking Mandarin in the movies, like being dubbed in Mandarin, it just throws me off completely. I can't watch Hong Kong films that are now being dubbed in Mandarin. I had to see them in the Cantonese, even though, to your point, everything was post-dub, everything was post-sync sound, because of the studio over there was like right in the middle of the city, so there was too much noise, and I think they were even in the flight path of the Hong Kong airport, so everything was shot either MOS or they would do post-sync stuff. So, but yeah, it was... I don't know. It worked for me, but I probably wasn't paying that much of attention.
I mean, I was just going to say it definitely adds to, at least to me, it adds to like the cartoony sort of like funny element of the movie, that like the sound has this sort of like surreal detached quality because everything is dubbed. Like all the sound effects, like every step, every punch, every kick, like all of that stuff, like everything that happens is like overdubbed or whatever. And there was like a couple of points like where I would notice that they would like miss things, like when they would be scooting a chair across or whatever, like it would make absolutely no sound. But then they would like block a punch and it would be like the loudest sound I have ever heard in my life. It was like a gunshot. And I was like, they forgot the chair, but like these fists are real, real loud.
It's kind of funny. I actually... I worked in local origination commercials for a little while, and we were doing a commercial where we had a Chuck Norris impersonator, and we were trying to add kung fu sound effects. So we went back and we rented like a Best of Martial Arts VHS tape, and we're just stealing sounds left and right off of that. So nice. Every once in a while, I'll see a scene where we stole sounds from that, and I'll hear the sound, and I'll suddenly recognize the scene from the sound itself and not even from the action.
Oh, that's funny.
No, I was going to say is, I'm surprised when you were doing that, Mike, similarly to this film, that you didn't just make the noises with your mouth, because that's kind of what some of the noises in this film sound like. It's like, whoosh,
yeah, you're just.
I mean, that's what they sound like. It's like, make fight noises. Yeah, make fight noises with your mouth. Okay, you know what that sounds like. Welcome to this movie's not soundtrack, but
the Foley artist.
Yeah. It's a poor Foley artist just sitting there just going, all right, now make a kick noise. Whoosh. All right, now make a noise, someone being punched in the chest. It's like, oh, good Lord. But at the same time, it, like Eric said, it totally works in the context of this film. But it's kind of weird, though, because as much fun as this film is, it takes a really dark turn at the end. Like, all of a sudden, Sammo Hung is being injected with heroin.
And then him with that white face and stuff. And barely like, move.
Just panicking. Just like, oh my God, am I going to die?
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah, it's a little, that's a little weird. Because the movie up until this point, not really like a serious film. And then you have a character who's just being force-fed heroin.
Yeah, I think that was another kind of strike against this when it came to the box office results. One, they were playing against type, and two, they had some really heavy shit suddenly going down at the end.
Yeah, it was pretty, I don't know, it was weird. Definitely, I mean, I don't know, man. I had no idea what the fuck was going on.
It's a bizarre tonal shift.
It was. Could I tell what was happening? Most of the time, not really. But it was still weird.
Well, and that is the kind of, in my mind, the biggest knock against this movie. And this is a knock that, also you could have against a lot of foreign films, is that it's sometimes hard to follow. I know we ran into that problem, Mike, you and I did in Samurai Month a couple months back, where it was like, what is going on? And in this film, I mean, the subtitles aren't helping. But the plot of the film is not particularly deep, but it doesn't help that, like you also said, there are scenes that were just wholesale cut out of the movie.
Yeah. I just I think I'm gonna order apparently the the Hong Kong Legends disc, or there's a French disc. And there's also, you can go out and look around for stuff. There's a website called Movie Censorship, and they will do comparisons of things. And apparently the version that we saw was actually even better than some of the versions that were released out there. Like some of the looks between the judge and Jackie during the courtroom scene at the end, and some other whole scenes were just kind of left on the cutting room floor. So I didn't even realize how many cuts there were to this movie.
Oh, you mean Roy Chow?
Yes.
Lao She from Temple of Doom?
Exactly.
When I saw him, I was like, wait, I know you from somewhere. Oh, wait, you were Lao She in Temple of Doom.
Oh, is it all coming back to you?
Oh my God, it is.
Yeah. Comparison here on moviecensorship.com. There's a comparison between the cut French version and the uncut Hong Kong version. Okay, so this was in France. The DVD is 16 minutes and 1 second shorter. 16 whole minutes shorter.
Whoa.
Jesus Christ.
So even the stuff at the beginning with the drug deal going wrong, and our main baddie saying like, oh, I won't kill you, and then having his henchmen kill the guy, that's all cut. So this is amazing how many things were cut out of here.
So do you just, in that version of the film, you don't even see the boss Hua until like the end of the movie?
I mean, maybe he shows up a couple times directing people, but there's just a ton of stuff. And the whole thing with Sammo chasing the woman down the street with the megaphone, that's all cut too. It's just way too much stuff. And this doesn't even have the psychiatrist stuff that I was talking about.
How about the scene where Sammo gets hit over the head with a wrench? What the fuck is going on in this movie? That woman clocked him on the head so hard with that wrench.
Well, that's got to be a rubber wrench.
Oh, right. A rubber wrench in the film, yes. But in the reality that the film is attempting to portray, he got hit so hard that his head just started bleeding.
Oh, yeah.
It's a little weird.
There's a lot of stuff in here. The whole idea that Sammo doesn't know that Yuen is working with Jackie and vice versa, and that like Sammo and Yuen are rivals for a little while. Then when they meet up with each other, they start to battle each other. That doesn't necessarily work that much either, because there's a point where Sammo's using that crazy invention type thing where he's listening on via the wall to the conversation that the mom and daughter are having, and it's like, well, that invention seems like something that Yuen Biao's character would have come up with rather than Sammo. So it's just like, but they don't even know each other at that point.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this movie that I think doesn't work very well, which is unfortunate because, like you guys have said, the fight scenes are so good. The fight scenes are really good, and everything else is really not great. I would actually say some of the stuff in this movie is just bad. A lot of the scenes that don't have any sort of kind of like physical comedy are just kind of boring. There's nothing to them. And it's unfortunate because we know that the three actors are talented. You don't give three actors a nickname, the three brothers, if they're not making quality films and you want to see the three of them together doing stuff on screen. But it's just unfortunate because this movie's plot it's not that deep anyways. It's just Jackie Chan defending, these assholes, and then it turns out that they're drug dealers, and he's trying to get his friends to help him. And there's nothing to it, and it's just kind of weird that they really muddied it up with so much unnecessary stuff.
Yeah, it was a little too much.
Well, especially for just like a kung fu movie. You know what the plot reminded me of? It's like Jackie Chan as a lawyer. It reminded me of Fire Down Below with Steven Seagal, where he plays like an EPA agent. And it's just like, you know what? As much as I would love to believe Jackie Chan as a lawyer, it's about as much as I believe Steven Seagal is an EPA agent, who also just happens to be trained in Jackie Chan's case, probably not kung fu. I'm sure it's not that. Forgive my gaijin-ness. And in whatever Steven Seagal practices is his own business, not mine. But it's that same thing where it's like, you don't have to give them these horseshit backstories. We want to see an interesting movie with some fighting. Don't be like, oh yeah, he's a world-renowned lawyer.
Yeah, it works better when Jackie's a cop. He played cops in so many movies that it's just like, okay, yeah, that's good. Because then you got the cop boss to fight against. And in this one, he doesn't really have a boss. Maybe it's the bad guy is the boss. And even that is kind of not clear as far as who he's working for. And that he has this change of heart. And got that sappy scene of him making the woman admit to him that she's in love with him on the stand. It's like, wow, okay, it's a little too much.
Yeah, it doesn't work very well in the context of the film. But then again, I would say most of the scenes outside of them fighting don't anyways. But again, the fight scenes are great. So, and I think that's if you kind of go out of your way to watch this movie, which again, this movie is not exactly easy to find. I'm sure you could find the fight scenes online. Totally worth checking out, especially the one between Jackie Chan and Betty Urquidez at the end of the film. And any of the fight scenes between Sammo, Jackie, and Yuen. But I'm assuming they fight each other in the other movies that
they almost always do. Yeah, check out, again, I should have said Meals on Wheels, because Wheels on Meals, because that one, you've got some more crazy invention kind of stuff, and you've got Yuen on a skateboard, I think, for a lot of it, and yeah, it's pretty great.
So what you're saying is similarly to when Blaxploitation Month was programmed, maybe there might have been better movies to pick, not named Petey Wheatstraw. Except Petey Wheatstraw is still the most downloaded podcast we've ever done.
Damn straight.
And I hate that that's the case, because that movie is really bad.
Petey Wheatstraw.
The Devil's Son-in-Law.
Oh, wow.
It's a really bad movie.
But you'll never forget it.
I will never forget it, but it is so bad and so dumb.
I'm gonna have to figure it out. I guess I'm gonna have to watch it.
It's even got like a really great theme song too.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, that's sarcasm. So Mike, what would you give Dragons Forever?
I'd probably give it 3 out of 5.
What about you, Eric?
I'm gonna give it like a 2 out of 5, I guess.
That's respectable.
I don't know. It's hard to tell because I couldn't tell what the fuck was going on in the movie, but like the action and the fighting was awesome. So yeah, definitely entertaining for that alone.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna break it up this way: for the plot, 2; for the fighting, a 5 out of 5. The fighting's great, but then again, anytime, for the most part, Jackie Chan is doing any sort of choreography with kung fu, it's great. Getting to see a movie that Sammo Hung is in, the guy, for me, is a revelation. And, you know, Yuen is just so acrobatic in what he does that it's really impressive because they're like the perfect three kind of parts of a triangle together. So give the fighting a 5, but yeah, the movie itself with the kind of the plot is just, it's nonsensical. And would seeing a better kind of rip of the movie have made a difference? Maybe, but we can't know that now, and those versions of the film sound like this movie has kind of been edited to shit all over the place, so who knows what the kind of definitive version of Dragons Forever is.
Yeah, I don't know, whichever one is 16 minutes longer than the one that we saw, I guess.
Well, the one that we saw is not that one. Ours is 16 minutes longer than the French one.
There's an extra 3 minutes and 31 seconds that we didn't see for ours. So we're pretty close.
So there's a version that's even shorter?
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't realize that's what Mike was saying, Eric?
He was greening out. It's okay.
Wait, hold on. You thought that the one that we watched was missing 16 minutes.
Because when you said that, I was like, oh, that makes total sense. That like it would be missing that much time because like nothing in this movie made sense to me. But if we watched the one that had that 16 minutes, I guess 3 extra minutes would definitely help it make more sense. But still, I don't know.
3 minutes I don't think would do much of anything.
I guess. I don't know.
It feels like this movie is missing like 5 or 6 scenes at least, like a proper introduction to Jackie. Like Jackie Chan doesn't get the same introduction that Sammo gets. A proper introduction to Yuen's character. I don't know, like there's so much of this movie that I'm like, I feel like Mike said, the psychiatrist scene, which would explain why Yuen is attacking Jackie Chan in the middle of the night. Like there's a lot of stuff that just happens. I'm like, did I miss something? No, I didn't. The movie
it's
just
a pretty weird movie. But I mean, you know what? We're not watching this movie to be like, oh my God, it tells a, heartwarming, gripping tale of, lost love and found friendship. Like, we're watching this movie to watch guys beat each other up with awesome choreography, and you know what? It was great. So do it.
Yeah, exactly. It delivers on what I wanted. Problem was there was other stuff in between that
I was like, just make it a 90-minute fight sequence, and I'd be down.
Until then, though, Mike, where can people find you?
You can find me over at the Projection Booth, which is available at projectionboothpodcast.com, where every week I'm putting out 1 or possibly even more episodes. And they can also hear me on a podcast with you, Chris, called The Kolchak Tapes, which is available at kolchaktapes.com, where every month we look at the Night Stalker, a.k.a. Carl Kolchak, and his adventures, be they in the mid-'70s or be they in the mid-2010s, 2000-aughts, I guess that would be, 2005, 2006. So yeah, we are brave enough to cover the reboot of Night Stalker, and the results, they're starting to get not pretty.
They speak for themselves, as one might say. Real bad. Yeah, real. Well, more recently, it's been real bad. We were defending it for a while, but
not so much.
No longer. Not so much anymore. Where can people find you, Eric?
I'm back on the Twitter for now, so we'll see how long that lasts. It's at Tycho Magnetics. I tweet about things sometimes, mostly like just random musings and movies that I am enjoying currently.
And then Jess responds to you, or I respond.
I have 2 friends that I talk to on Twitter ever, and they're the people that I do podcasts with on a regular basis. So we just talk about movies amongst ourselves, really, in front of other people. So you know what Kevin Smith does for a living.
I can do you talk about how your wife still phones your cock?
God, if I had a wife, then of course I could talk about that. Yes.
Wow, Mike. Mike, I'm just going to say this for all of us here at the Culture Cast. Neither you nor me nor Eric should ever say the word pones out loud. And you know what, to be fair, Kevin Smith probably shouldn't use that word ever.
That's
because Kevin Smith, as much as I like his movies,
a hanger-on.
He's a hanger-on.
I think
who isn't he a hanger-on to? Ben Affleck, now he's a hanger-on to IMDb. I mean, you can't go on IMDb without seeing Kevin Smith on the front page.
He's just like a really big fan.
Well, and he's not that big anymore.
Right, yeah.
No, I was about to say he can't be that big anymore. Did you see when he used to wear those shorts? Jesus Christ.
So enthusiastic about his fandom him that like that's really like I think he's sort of beyond like the Clerks guy now, and he's like that super huge nerdy fan guy who like also makes movies every once in a while. So
imagine Quentin Tarantino, but with more pop culture references and less use of the
yeah,
N-word.
like 100%.
And you essentially
they're
have
like
Kevin
him
Smith.
and Quentin. I think are like two sides. Yeah, they're like two
and
sides
Robert
of the same
Rodriguez.
three-sided coin.
But to be fair, I'm pretty sure Robert Rodriguez is just Quentin Tarantino with less self-awareness of how big of a douchebag he is. I mean, am I wrong?
I've never met the guy.
I mean, I like Robert Rodriguez, but the guy doesn't sound like an upstanding citizen. Let's put it that way.
As long as he keeps pumping out Spy Kids
But anyways,
movies, then I'm
you can
good
find
with
me
whatever.
Great. As always, you can find me on Twitter at Culture Stash. Head on over to culturecast.com where you can find out more about today's episode. You'll find links over to iTunes where you can rate and review the show, and
where
to
you can make
Patreon.
a donation to the show. Donors get early access to every episode.
Donors get access.
I'm not running late. Thank you.
Oh boy, so you know this. You have that same thing, huh? We all want your money. Just give it to someone. Or you know what? Don't give it to anyone.
My
And keep it for
PayPal
yourself
email
because
is-
I'm not going to fault you. That's
Every donation and everything he gets helps the Culture Cast take over the world.
that's your line, not mine. And big thanks as always to Eric for the intro outro music, and to Mike for not only programming this month but also joining us to kick it off with some Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung action. And we'll catch you on the next Culture Cast.